Alright guys, we are back and we are going to finish our bow and arrow aiming logic. So we are going to finish it up. So I'm right here in the input system script. So now in the input system script, we're going to do some few modifications. The first one we're going to do is we're going to add a header. And now in this header, we are actually going to say this is going to handle everything about aiming. So our aiming settings. So we need this script to communicate perfectly with the animations that have been set up in the movement script to handle our aim. So we have a raycast hit first of all, and then the next one is we are going to have a layer max. Okay, so our layer max is going to store the aim layers. These are the layers we can actually aim at. Okay, there are certain layers in the game where we actually don't want to aim at, and there are some we want to aim at. So just like the way we set layers for the camera collision system, we are going to also have a header. Again, in this header we are going to have we are going to actually set this header to our spine, the character spine. So we want to rotate the character spine anytime we are aiming, so it follows the direction of the aim. So first we'll have a public transform spine to get access to the character spine. The next one is we are going to get a public vector 3, and this is going to be our spine offset, how far we want to offset the spine. And then the next one is we want to also rotate our character's head when they are aiming. So we'll do a head rotation settings. So we want the character to actually look at the point they are aiming at. Alright, head rotation settings. So when the character is aiming at a particular point, we want the character to always look at that point. So we'll do a public float. We'll say look at point, let's set it to be equal to 2.8 for now. All right, we can save this. All right, or even okay, don't worry, we are going to handle the head rotation in the animator IK. So let's take this guy out. We are going to do it in a nice way with our animator. So the animator IK provides us with some cool functionality here. So what we are actually going to do is or possibly, all right, so let's just maintain the look at point. So we are going to actually use the look at point to get a point on our raycast to actually use the animator IK to do those tricky stuff. So no problem. The next one is actually going to set the logic for the aim. All right, now we are actually going to create another script. Okay, so now this script is going to be void aim. Okay, now with this aim script we are going to do some cool things here. Let me put a comment right here to kind of like, so that's the aiming. All right, so in our comment we're actually going to say does the aiming and sends a raycast to a target. All right, so we are going to do our aiming here. The first thing is we need a reference to our camera. So I don't know whether if I've stored a variable to hold our camera position. So over here we are actually going to do transform main cam to get a reference to our main camera. Okay, so we'll do our main cam, go to camera, okay, dot main dot transform. We need the camera transform. So with our reference to the main cam over here, we can actually do some stuff here. First, we want to get vector 3. We are going to say cam, okay, position. We want to get a camera position, and we're going to say the camera position is equal to main cam dot position. First things first. The next one is we want to get a direction, okay, of our camera. So we want to get a forward direction of our camera. We say main cam dot forward, and that gives us the direction of the camera. The next one is to get a ray. We are creating a ray. So first, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this ray part of our aim settings. So we are going to say ray. All right. So with that's done, we are going to have our ray, and we are going to say ray is equal to new ray. We are going to create a new ray. The new ray is going to start from our cam position to moving in a direction of the cam forward direction. All right. So now with that done, we are also going to do a if statement and do a physics raycast. So we are going to say if physics dot raycast. So we are going to do a physics raycast, and we're going to say the physics is going to we are going to do it in our array, and we did a raycast hit variable at the top. So we're going to say out hit, okay, this raycast value variable over here, raycast hit variable, is going to store our hit, the object we hit at, and then we want to let this ray travel 500 units. All right. And then we want to say our layers we want to aim at. So we also stored that here, the aim layers right here. So over here we're going to add them. We're going to say aim layers. So these are the layers we can actually aim at. Okay, so with that done, we go, and then we also want to actually do debug dot draw. Okay, we want to draw our array so it looks visible in our scene. We are going to draw from the origin to when we hit an object. We want to draw to the hit point, and then we want to do that and then give it a color of, let's say, green. All right, so we can see the ray visible. All right, so with that done, for us we also want to call position our crosshair. So we did a crosshair script somewhere in our bow. Yeah, in our bow script we have this show crosshair. All right, now we need to get a reference to the bow script. So in our input system, we are going to do public bow. We are going to say bow script. So we are storing a reference to a bow script, and over here we are going to do bow script dot position. So we know dot crosshair. So yeah, so we want to show the crosshair, and then we want to pass in our hit dot point to actually show where our crosshair to be positioned. Now with this one done, we are going to do an else here. So if we do not hit any object, we want to do a bow script dot, we want to actually destroy that crosshair, so we remove the crosshair from the scene. So now with this script, we've done position our crosshair and removing our crosshair from the scene. So the next thing is we are actually going to rotate the character spine. So say rotate character spine. Okay, so this is actually going to rotate our character spine. So the first thing we want to do is we are going to say spine dot look at. Now we want to look at the ray that we are throwing from our aim. We are throwing this ray, so we want to get a particular point on the ray. So we want to get 50 units on our ray. Our array is 500 units long, so we are going to get about 50 from that point, and the rest will be 450. We are just taking 50 units on our array to be the point at which the character spine should look at. Okay, so the character spine is going to look at 50 units on that ray that's traveling from the camera. We're also going to rotate the spine by the spine offset we set. Okay, we want to offset the spine by some amount, so the character spine. So over here we have a spine offset. Okay, so this is our rotate spine script. And also, before we even rotate the spine, we also want to rotate sorry, I think this will do. If it doesn't, we will find a fix. So we have that. We can rotate our character spine. So what we have to do is, right after update, I'm also going to call the late update. Okay, Unity's late update function. So what I want to do is, I'll say if the character is aiming, then we will want to rotate spine. All right, so we want to rotate the character spine. We want all the animations to finish playing in our update, finish updating before we actually do the spine rotation in the late update, because we can't do the spine rotation when the animation is playing at the same time. So when the animation gets finished playing in late update, we actually take control of the character spine with our script. So the next thing is, with this setup, we also need so I'm going to set a public variable here. I'll say public bool test aim. So if you want to test the functionality of the aiming, we want to do like the aim kind of fix some errors in the aim. We need this test aim variable here. Okay, so we are going to write an if statement here. We are going to say if test aim. So I think the spelling, it should be aim. Okay, AIM. So test aim, it should be aim. All right, so test aim. If test aim, then we actually want to set, okay, let's just do this here. We're going to say if test aim, then we want to say it's aiming to be equal to true. So if we actually want to test our aiming functionality, we want to set aiming to be true. So once you want to deploy your game, you should take this out. All right, this is just for testing purposes. And then we need to also call the aim script. So if it's aiming, we don't want to only to get access to this. We also want to do the aim. Okay, so we actually want to do our aim logic here. And now we can save. Okay, with that save, let's head back to Unity. Now our bow script here, we need to drag it and place it on our bow. Okay, where is our bow? This bow in this bow we have here. Okay, this is it. So I'm going to drag the script, drag it and drop it on this bow right here. Yeah, so now we can see our script here. We have the arrow count and all that. Okay, so right now let's set the crosshair prefab. All right, over here. Now what the current crosshair, I'm going to make this so back in our bow script, I'm going to make the current crosshair a private variable. I don't want it to be accessed in the Unity inspector. But for the crosshair prefab, we are going to make it a public variable we can access. So I'm going to actually get a crosshair. I'm going to so the initial build for this game, I do have a crosshair for that. So let me just quickly search for this guy. So how did I even name this guy? Right, let me just do this manually. I don't know why it still can't find. So I have a crosshair prefab here, so you can go ahead and, or let me just all right, so you can also go ahead and get one crosshair online. All right, I do have one. I don't know, I think I used let me just copy this. I used one of this, so I'm just going to copy this, and or let me just drag into Unity in my assets folder here. So here we go. I'm going to select my crosshair prefab and set to sprite, 2D and UI. I'm going to apply, and yeah, here we go. This is it. So in my scene, I'm right click. I'm going to create UI canvas. I'm going to delete the event system. I don't want any event system here. I'm going to say UI, and I'm going to say image, and I'm going to drag this as the sprite for this image, and I'm going to set this canvas to world space. All right, so, and I'm going to reset the position, reset the width to like 10, or probably the scale will just, let me just scale it down. So scale this guy down, scale it down a little more, then drag this guy up a little bit, and the image I'm going to actually click, hold Control Alt and set to full. So crosshair is looking a little bit. So let me also scale this guy down and see. I think, let me reset the scale for the canvas, and I'm going to actually use the width. So 20, 20, do 10, let's do 20, let's do, okay. And now I'm going to scale this guy and set this to let's say 5. Okay, so even if it doesn't look that perfect, at least you get what I'm trying to do. All right, so you could also get any prefab. You could actually go online and search for cross hair something for games or something. So crosshair for games, and then we can search for like a PNG or something. Or let's go to images. Yeah, so you could take any of this, all right, any of these crosshairs, but you should actually not use this in your game when you actually want to release the game. You should actually use a tool like Photoshop or something to actually do this on your own, all right? Because if you take this and the artist can actually sue you, all right? It can actually sue you and you'll be in trouble, all right? You have to pay a fine for using somebody's stuff, all right? So I did this actually in Photoshop. I just placed 2 lines here and then placed a circle in the middle, all right? So with that one done, we actually going to create a prefab. So right click, create, and then select folder, and then let's name this prefabs, right? So we are going to click on this canvas here and say crosshair, right? So this is going to be our crosshair target. So, and we are going to drag this guy into our prefab folder. Then we can delete him from the scene. We can delete this guy from the scene now, and then we are also going to create another folder, and we're going to say UI, and then drag this crosshair we just imported. What I'll do also is I'll just put upload this crosshair to Google Drive or something and provide a link in the description, so you could download this crosshair right here and use. All right, so with that one said and done, we have to go back to our player, our bow script. Select your bow. Now the bow script is here, and we are going to enter the prefab folder. The bow script selected. We are going to drag the crosshair over here as the crosshair prefab. Alright, and now we can save, and then we are also going to select our player. The player needs a bow script, so we are going to select the bow and drop this bow on the player, so it references the bow script for this player. And we need to also attach the spine of the player here, so the spine goes here. All right, now also the aim layer, so we want to set the aim layer to default, so aims on the default layer. Okay, so now with that one done, we can enter play mode and see what happens. Okay, so in play mode, immediately we start aiming, you could see the crosshair showing. Okay, you can see the crosshair. Okay, so but now the character is actually not aiming on the right direction, so we can enable test aim. You remember the test aim variable is set, so test aim automatically takes the player into an aim state. So now we are going to fix this by controlling the spine offset. So you remember the spine offset variable is set, so the spine offset, we are going to play around with this value to get a very good angle for the aiming position of our player. Okay, so I'm dragging this, playing around a little bit just to get the right angle. She has to focus the bow on. Right, so let me right click and see. Okay, so we have to tilt this guy a little bit. Yeah, tilt this guy towards this direction. Okay, come up a little bit, go a little more, and yeah, so this looks cool. All right, so this is very cool. Now you could see the aim perfect. Okay, so what we're actually going to do is I'm going to click on this here, there's 3 dots, and I'm going to say copy component. Then I'm going to come out to play, and I'm going to paste component values, so I get the values I just got. All right, the next thing is I'm going to go back to my camera script, and camera zoom field of view, I'm going to set it to 30. Right, so I could see the bow and arrow. Yeah, exactly. So initially 20, it was so close, too close to the player. So now I can see the bow and arrow. We can walk and aim. And yeah, the next thing is I want the camera to be to the left a little bit, so my game view, so our crosshair shows neatly. So this cam position is also tracking our camera position, so it also needs to save the camera position after we do this edit. So after we do this edit, we are going to copy the camera transform component and paste it on this cam position value, so it can handle our cam collision for us. So I'm going to change my X, move the camera to the right a little bit so the character is on the left side of the screen. So I'm going to copy the component and paste in this guy here. Let's enter play. Yeah, so the character is standing to the left, and you can see the camera is on the right side, so the aiming looks neat and nice. So you give the character more space to so you can so that you can also actually like see the crosshair and the target. Now you could see the crosshair is hiding behind some of the objects. Okay, so the fix is easy. We are going to select this main camera, right click, and then say we are going to add another camera. Okay, so we are going to add another camera, and we are going to rename this camera UI camera. So this camera is going to handle only our UI. So we are going to say this camera is a UI camera, so we need to do some few settings here. We need to kind of so we need to set the Kellen max for this camera to nothing and set it to only show our UI, and we want depth only, so we don't want the camera to show the skybox or anything. We want the camera to show only depth. So our main camera will show everything relating to the game, and then the UI camera is only showing our depth view. So when we play, and UI is only showing the user interface exactly, and the main camera is showing the main game. So you could see the crosshair showing, but then we need to also do some few changes in our camera script. So quickly let's open our camera script as quick as we can to fix this. All right, we're going to fix this guy so easily. So this is going to be a simple fix. So we need to get a reference to the UI camera over here. So where we have our camera getting our main camera, we also need to get a camera, and we're going to say UI com, okay, for our user interface. So the UI com is going to show everything relating to the user interface, and the camera is going to show everything relating to the game view. All right, so we are going to say UI com is equal to our main com, okay, dot transform dot child dot get child 0. So we get child 0 dot get component, or simply let's do main com, let's do dot get component in children. All right, so we are going to get what? The camera component, okay, so we don't go through a long process to get this here. So now we have this done. The next thing is in our zoom, where we are doing this, let's just copy this line and paste and change main com here to UI com. So we want to do the same for the UI com when we change our field of view, and we want to do it over here to do the same changes here. All right, and that's done. We can save. When we get back into the scene, when we are aiming, we right click and then we zoom. So first of all, I'm going to select my player, and I'm going to deselect our test aim. All right, so we want to actually aim ourselves when we right click. So when I right click, I enter into aim. You can see now the UI camera handling. So yeah, so the UI camera is showing us the crosshair, and the main camera is also trying to do the same thing. So we will select our main camera here, and this time we want to deselect UI. So our main camera is not going to focus on rendering the UI to us. It's going to focus on only rendering these four guys, and whilst our UI camera is only going to show us our UI. Okay, so they know what to do. All right, so now when we come back, right click, so now the UI is showing us the crosshair. It's not going through, passing through any of those walls again. So you can see the crosshair is not hiding behind the wall. Okay, it's not hiding behind the wall, it's showing as it should. Okay, so there we go, we have that done for us, and you can see the crosshair is supposed to leave the scene, but it's like it's still here. So we're actually going to find a fix for that. Let's go back to our input system. We are saying if we have a raycast and we are hitting an object, so we are saying if we have a raycast and we are hitting an object, we actually want to show our crosshair. If our raycast isn't hitting any object, we want to remove the crosshair, right? But then what we are going to do actually is, if we are not aiming, okay, so if aim is false, so if it's aiming else, so we are going to write an else statement. We are going to write an else statement here, So if we are not aiming, we are going to paste this guy here. So we are going to remove the crosshair from the scene. All right. So if you are not aiming, we are going to actually kick that guy out of the scene. So let's play, and then we can aim, and now it goes. All right. It's no longer there. We aim, it's out of the scene. You see. So we have our aim working. So now we need to actually fire some arrows. Okay, so we need to find a way to fire some arrows. So now in our script we need to do some few changes. Okay, so what we have right now is the player can pick an arrow and all that. Now we need to find a way to give the player the opportunity to pick some bow. So in our bow script here, we need to call some arrows. Okay, now we have this arrow prefab and some arrow pose and all that. All right, so now what we are going to do is we are going to say public void pick arrow. Okay, so she's going to actually pick an arrow. Our character is actually going to pick an arrow. So in order for us to pick an arrow, we need to also know the instantiate position, the parent, the position for arrow. We have equipped position for our bow and unequipped position for our bow and all that. So with our arrow, what we need is instead of this arrow pose, we are going to name it we are going to maintain this guy, and then we are going to do so this is going to store our arrow position and rotation, and then we are going to say public transform. We're going to say arrow equip equip parent. All right, so where we want to equip the arrow, the position at which the arrow should be equipped. Okay, so arrow equip parent. So this is what we're going to do. The first thing is we are going to say instantiate. Okay, we're going to instantiate an arrow prefab. So you're going to say instantiate. Now we're going to instantiate so our bow settings dot arrow prefab. We are instantiating this arrow prefab, and then after instantiating, we want to instantiate this at our arrow. It should be the same bow settings serializable field, bow settings dot arrow pose dot position. Okay, we are going to do bow settings again dot arrow pose dot rotation. So we instantiate the arrow. After instantiating the arrow, we actually want to store this arrow as game object. With that done, we also need to store so we're going to create another variable like we have for the crosshair. We're going to create another game object, and this time you're going to say current arrow instead of current crosshair. So we have crosshair and we have current arrow. So we are going to say current arrow should be equal to this instantiated object. All right, so with that done, we have our current arrow set, and then so that's that. So we have that set, or better still, we can I think I have a smart way we could do this. So we write less code. All right, so the goal is to write less code. So this arrow prefab is going to be good. This arrow pose transform thing is good. All right, so what we are going to do is we are going to say bow settings. Okay, so we want to write let's code dot arrow pose dot game object dot set active to true. Okay, So that will do our pick arrow for us, and then we are going to say public void so let's say drop arrow, or let's say drop arrow doesn't sound like a good name. Disable arrow, okay, let's say disable arrow. That sounds like a better name for this scenario. And this time we're going to do both settings dot arrow pose dot game object, and then we are going to do dot set active to false. Alright, we're going to set the active state on this to false. Alright, so we have that done for us, done, cleaned up, looking neat. The next thing is we can pick our arrow, we can disable our arrow, yes, and then we can say public void full string. So now pull string is also going to handle some cool stuff for us. So right now we want to be able to pull the string, all right, on the bow. So we have the bow string, the transform for that, and on the string initial pose, string hand pull pose, and then the string initial parent. All right, so we are going to say the hand pull. So hand pull will be the new parent, and then the string initial pose. So let's just get this guy done. So what we are going to do is we are going to say bow settings dot bow string dot transform dot position should be equal to dot transform dot parent should be equal to well, let's set the position first. So transform dot position should be equal to the bow settings dot string hand pull pose dot position, and then we are going to do another one. We're going to do bow settings dot bow string dot transform dot parent should be equal to bow settings dot string hand pull pose. So that's going to be our parent after we set the position. And then the next thing is we're going to do a public void, and then the final one is to create a release trigger. So we are going to say release the string. Okay, we are going to release the string after we pull. So when we fire the arrow, we actually want to release the string. So we are going to do bow settings dot bow string dot transform dot position, then we say it's equal to bow settings dot this time we are going to say initial string initial position dot position. All right, we get a string initial position, and then the next one is we are going to reset the parent bow settings dot bow string dot transform dot parent. Now it's going to be equal to the bow settings dot initial parent, string initial parent. Okay, and we can save this guy. We have these two functions working for us. So now when we do an aim, we need to call some of these scripts, okay, based on what the user is currently or actively doing. Okay, so we're going to call them dynamically in the animations. Okay, so now we actually going to go here and create a reference to these four: pick arrow, disable arrow, pull string, and then release string. Okay, we are going to call them in the input system so we can reference them in our animation itself. So we are going to use animation events to trigger this script. So we are going to do public void pull. Okay, so this is going to handle pull string. So we are going to do our bow script dot pull. Is it pull string? Yeah, so there we go. First function done. We're going to do public void. We're going to say enable arrow. We are enabling the arrow, so we'll do that, and then we are going to call bold script dot pick arrow. I think we named, yeah, so that's it. The next one is disable arrow. So here we go, say public void. Okay, we are going to say disable the arrow. When the user fires, or if the user is not aiming, we want to disable the arrow. So inside here we are going to call our bold script, and we are going to say bold script dot disable arrow. And the final script we are going to call here public void. This time we have pool disable, and which one was the last guy? The last guy was release. Okay, we got to release the string, so we are going to say release, and then bold script dot release string. Here we go, done, looking good. So we have these three animations. So now let's go into our Unity editor, into our animator, into the upper body layer, our arrow logic, and we are going to go to draw arrow. Now in draw arrow, you see we are going to add an event. Immediately she puts her hand behind the back, we want to actually enable the arrow. So it means she's actually picked an arrow from the quiver. All right, so now I'm right here and I'm going to add an event. Now this event is going to be a function. Okay, so sorry, and let's go back to our script, look for the function name enable arrow. So that's going to actually equip the arrow. So we are going to paste this function name here, and automatically this animation, when it plays and gets to this point, is going to find this function for us. So it's going to look into our player game object and then look into all the scripts and see which script has this function enabled, and it's going to call that function and call the enable arrow function, and automatically our arrow is going to be enabled from the animation event. Okay, so animation events are very, very useful. It's going to help us a lot as we go on. So there we go. Once the hands go behind the back, you actually want to be very precise about this, so it looks good. So right here, I'm going to drag this guy. So right here, I'm going to enable the arrow. Okay, excuse me. So we have that done. Okay, now the next thing is, let's go to pool string and see what next. Now once this animation starts, okay, over here we're going to add an event, and that event is going to be pull string immediately as the animation starts. Okay, because from here she starts pulling the string. So we are going to look for the name of the function and add it as an event. So it's pool. The function name is pool. We are going to add pool right here and apply. Okay, so we have that done. Did I even apply for the draw arrow? So I have to apply for this guy too. Now let's go to fire arrow. So in fire arrow, immediately she release, okay, like this. Immediately she release the string, we actually want to release the string. Okay, so we add an event, and the name of the event was function name is release. So we are going to add that here. Going to add release, so, and apply. Okay, so we have that done. Now this transitions from here to here. So So now this is what we are going to do. In order for this to work, we say if you are aiming, and then we get input.get button input.fire, right? So let's go to our movement system, where we have the pooling string. So when the user is clicking, left clicking, okay, we enter into this state. Now we need to do the fire arrow. Now to actually fire the arrow, we are going to set when we are actually aiming, that's when we can fire. So we are going to do it there, movement script dot character fire arrow, and we are going to say input dot get button, and this time it's going to be button up. Okay, so, and sorry, fire arrow is actually taking a trigger, so it's not taking in any parameter. So what we have to do actually is call input.get up before this. So we are going to write an if statement here. We are going to say if input.get button up. So if we release the fire button, so the input.fire button, if we release it, we actually want to do a fire arrow. Okay, we want to do a movement script dot fire arrow, and that does the trick for us. All right, so with that said and done, we have the ability to fire the arrow right now. Okay, so with that's done, we can save this guy, and then we can test some of these things out. So now in our scene, there are a few changes we need to do. Our character has the bow equipped but not the arrow, so we are going to go straight into our free medieval weapons, go into the prefabs, and then drag an arrow into the scene. So we have an arrow in our scene. We are going to drag the arrow here, and we are going to go to the player's left arm, the right hand. So because that's the hand which actually holds and positions the arrow. So in our right hand, we are going to drag our arrow prefab into the right hand, and we are going to set or let's just reset the transform component. We can zoom in on this guy, and what we are going to do is we are going to rotate on the x-axis 90 on the x, and then position it exactly on the hand of our character like this. Okay, so when she aims, she can aim with this arrow. So the next thing we are going to do actually is in our bow script. There are a lot of changes here we need to do. First of all, we need to drag our arrow prefab here. So we will drag these arrow prefab here. The next thing is drag our arrow pose variable, which is this one, this guy here. The next one is the equip parent. The arrow equip parent is actually our right hand. Okay, then the bow equip pose, we haven't tackled that. We'll do that, okay, later. First, we want to get all these guys neat and running. So we'll go into our bow string, and we have this string over here. So this is going to handle the bow pulling, the character pulling the string out and inward. So we're going to drag here, we are going to select this guy and drag this WB string down to the bow string. Okay, now we need a string initial position. Okay, so what we are going to do is create an empty game object in our bow under wb.main. We are going to create this empty game object, and we are going to say initial string pose for our initial position of the bow string. And then what we are going to do is select the wb.string and then copy that component, okay, and then paste the component values here. Okay, with the component values pasted, we can see now we have the initial position stored for us. So we can drag this initial string pose here. Okay, now the hand pull pose should actually follow our right hand. Okay, so that's going to be our right hand, and the parent is still going to be our right hand. Okay, so we have that done. Or better still, we can create an empty game object. So we are going to say create empty, then we'll say string hand pull pose. So what's going to happen now is, with our bow selected, we are going to drag this string hand pull pose in place of the right hand for the string hand pull, and the parent is going to be right hand. Now we have this guy set. Let's test them out and see. So in our game view, we can right click and we pick some arrows, and now when we start pulling, you can see the string follows the player's hand, and then we release. Okay, so we still have some few errors we need to tackle. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to enable debug aim, the test aim to actually debug, and then I'm going to enter into play mode. Now whilst in play mode, we can see she's already in the aim state because we are testing. Now with our arrow selected, we will come back to the scene view, and we need to position the arrow perfectly. Okay, so we are going to rotate the arrow. Okay, for rotating the arrow, we are going to drag it down a little bit. Okay, and then drag it somewhere here, so it seems as though the character is actually holding the arrow and pointing towards something. And then now we can copy this component. Let me enter into the game view. Now you can see the arrow is aligned perfectly. Now with that, we've copied the component. We are going to paste the component values, and we have the changes stored for us. So when we enter into play mode, now you could see she's actually holding the arrow. Now, one last fix in our animator, the pulling string, we actually calling the pull string function in the pull string. Okay, we are actually calling it here. So we are going to take this guy from here. We are going to delete this event and apply this change in draw arrow. When we pick the arrow and we draw, we are about to actually pull in this state. Okay, when the character is about to pull. Okay, so first you see we have an event here called draw enable arrow. So when she enables the arrow, that's the first thing. The next thing is for her to actually pull the string. So with that, we are going to come here and add another event, and the pull is actually going to start here, not over there. So we don't have her holding the arrow this way and she doesn't pull the string. So we apply the changes. Let's enter into play, and test aim enabled. Automatically the string is being pulled, all right, perfectly as it should be. Okay, so now the string is touching the hand and looking weird. So what we are going to do is we are going to select the string hand pull pose variable, and we are going to drag this forward a little bit. So now we want to actually view some of these empty game objects. We have no, this is just an empty game object. It just has a transform component, but we want to actually view it. So I'm going to click on this icon here and use a gizmo to represent this game object. With that selected, I think I can go under my gizmo section. So gizmo selected, I have to look for this string hand pull gizmo. We have to change the size of our gizmos. I don't want it to look so huge, so I'm going to set the gizmo size to, all right, this looks good. So now this holds our string hand pull pose. So we drag it somewhere here to our fingers, because when you're pulling a string, you actually pull with your fingers. So let's play again. In test mode, you can see, but it looks so weird. sorry, my phone just rang. All right, so back, we are going to drag this here, and then now we have this guy set up, and now it looks perfect. Okay, I like this now, looks cool. So now she's holding the arrow, we can pull. Now when we release the arrow, we have a few issues we need to tackle. Okay, when we release the arrow and the fire arrow, there is an event we call the release event. Okay, and over here, and then right after we call the release event, let's add another event, and this event is actually going to be called disable. Okay, we are going to disable our arrow. Okay, we don't want the arrow to be visible anymore, so I'm going to disable the arrow right here. So that's done. We have our disable arrow and release string. So when I play the game again, pardon me, this video is getting way longer than expected, but there are a lot of things here, a lot of details we need to tackle. That is why. So when I release, she disables the arrow and then enters the pickup state and picks up another arrow. Okay, so you can see. So now let's exit from aiming and let's see what happens. Okay, so now we are out of aiming. So we need to fix a few things when we are out of aiming. Now under our bow script, we in the disable arrow, we are setting the game object's active state to false. Now in let's go to our movement, input system, where we disable the arrow. Now we say if you're not aiming, we want to remove the crosshair. Okay, we did that. We also want to disable the arrow, disable arrow if we are not aiming. Okay, now if we are not aiming also, we need to let's call the release. So we need to release our bow so the string doesn't appear weirdly. So let's go set this guy. So let's disable our test aim for now, because we fixed a lot of issues. So now there we go. Okay, so the string is actually in our animator. Let's go back to draw arrow in the event. So we are kind of making this thing look perfect. When we take the arrow, the pull string actually, we are going to drag it backward a little bit, so until the arrow is set in this position before we actually want to start pulling. So so this way, and we apply our changes, and then let's go back and then play again. Now when we click, there we go. This looks so weird. This shouldn't be pick. Okay, so all right, we need to fix these guys. So now seems like when we release, the string actually isn't working. It's not actually releasing, so we are going to solve this with another method. We're going to use another method. So in our bow script, we are going to go into the update. I think we have to solve this in the update. I think that will do the trick for us. Okay, so because it's like it needs to run every frame, but we are calling it once from the animator. We are just calling the release string once, and I think that's the issue. So what we actually going to do is when we do the from the animator, what we're going to do is we actually need to find a way to set a boolean variable that the arrow is active and we can actually pull the string or something of that sort. So what we'll do now is right here in our pull string we are going to say we are going to create a boolean at the top here. We're going to say okay, can pull string. We have this boolean we created, can pull string. So in this boolean we are going to say can pull string should be equal to true. Okay, and then when we in release string we are going to say can pull string should be equal to false, because we don't want that weird behavior. Now in our update, what we are going to do is we are going to say if we can pull the string, we can actually pull it, and then now we are going to say if both settings, okay, dot our bow string dot parent, if the parent is not equal to our bow settings, sorry, the parent is not equal to our bow settings dot string hand pull parent, or is it hand pull pose or parent? So we say string hand pull, we have the bow string, string initial pose, string initial parent. Okay, so didn't we have the parent, or we, okay, sorry, so let's go string so I think we made an error somewhere, so let's go into our bow script again. The initial parent shouldn't be the hand. The initial parent should be this guy here. All right, so I think that will be our fix. So let me just undo these guys here, these changes, and then let's give this guy a try again. So I think, yeah, that should be our fix. So because this is the initial parent for this string, the game object, and then this hand pull pose will be the position it should be, and the new parent as well. So when we start pulling, so let's play. Yeah, so it's working perfect. So we can fire and release, and again. All right, so it works. So the string is slow, so we need to set the pull to the right position again. So because we have the fix now, so now we'll bring this guy here. All right, I hope you guys understand this. It's like I'm moving too fast, and the video is also getting long, so it might look boring, but I advise you pause along the way and then take some breaks, because yeah, the bow script was actually very tricky to do. So there are a lot of tricks in here, and yeah, if you follow through this entire video, you should get it working. But if you don't get it working, just ask questions as usual. So I can aim now, pull the string, and then release, easy, aim again, pull, release. If I'm still aiming, she picks another one, pull, release, she picks another one again, pull, release, she picks another arrow, and then you can see everything working cool, perfect. So guys, we have this working. So our final fix now is, you could see the string is still attached to a hand, so we took that part out in hopes of fixing the error, but we've already gotten the fix. So the fix is we want to disable the arrow when we are not aiming, and also we want to release, sorry, we want to actually release, sorry, bow script, yeah, dot, we want to release, okay, the string when we are not it should be, sorry, we just have the release function here, so we just have to call this release function. You don't need to do redundant references here, okay? So in the same way, we already have disable arrow here, so we can take away the bow script, and then yeah, we have that set for us, okay? And it's going to call this function, so we don't do multiple references here. So yeah, so let's play. And now when we aim and we use the string and we release, the string is no longer attached to a hands. So you could see the bow script working perfectly. Our crosshair showing, everything looking fine. Now when we click, we are not releasing any arrow. Okay, so that will be our last fix. We are going to get that last thing done, and we can end this video here because the video is very long. Or okay, I think I should just end this video here. In the next video, we are going to do the fire arrow. Okay, so we are going to actually fire the arrow when she releases the string. Okay, so guys, if you don't understand anything, put the questions in the comment section below. Ask a lot of questions, and also give it a try. Watch this video over and over again. I know this video is more than an hour, but it was worth it. It's worth your time. It's worth it. Give it some time, and then like watch through, and then gain more understanding, and yeah, ask questions, and then yeah, get yourself in shape with Unity. So see you guys in the next one.